You will not be getting off of the ship in Glacier Bay National Park, but that's a big day that I'm actually going to have a presentation on in Ketchikan after All Aboard. I think it's on the schedule for about 5 o'clock, so double check your program for that, and I'll tell you a little bit more detail about it then. Then we'll have
this is the first patch of blue sky I have seen after arriving Alaska.
I actually live here year-round. There's a small community outside the mouth of the bay called Gustavus, Alaska, a little town with a year-round population of about 400 people and about 600 moose. It is a nice little small town, Alaska. Only can get there by plane or by boat. We also came out this morning from our park headquarters, our one developed area in this national park, a place called Bartlett Cove. I apologize for a little bit of a delay this morning, and I know we were scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. You probably noticed that there was a tender boat that left you all this morning, taking someone who was ill that was going to be transferred to a hospital as a medevac. But we're back on schedule, and we're going to be working our way up to explore this park. When I say that I live here, I've actually lived here and explored here for 5 years. I live here with my family, my wife and 2 children, my son who's 6 and my daughter who's 10. I feel a connection to this place as a home. However, there's somebody else on board with us that joined us that I haven't quite introduced yet. I'm going to let him introduce himself because his people and he have a connection to this place that goes back thousands of years, or in their words, time immemorial. So I'm going to pass the mic off to Gary.
Thank you. Okay, to start. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Gary M. Brown Sr. I come from Hoonah, Alaska. We are the direct descendants of Glacier Bay. When we got pushed out, we just got pushed out to the other shore, just across Stacey Strait, into a little community called Hoonah, Alaska. We have about 825 year-round residents, and I am 100% taken. And what we do, before we get started, we like to do our native introduction. So I'll do that for you, and then we'll get started, all right? All right. Kunishisa EAD, Suye Ekwasipinsa Su Aktuosigu, Siti Itika, Kunishisa Slikas, Taten Tan, Dutchkana, Shandu Katie, Dutchkan, Kunishisha Pakalukul, Deshiton, that's good. Kuristis, a Ikash, Jukinadiaki, Kuyates, it was a Kikakinak, Sakishas, Kuristis, a Swahas, take away did I cut. See Clay, it was a Kikakinak, a Swahas, Yan Wayne, Kuristis. All right. I told you that I welcome you to sit Ikigai, the band plays at Glacier Bay, and I told you that I am very honored to see you honorable people, and I thank you for coming to visit sit Ikigai. Then I told you that I am the grandson of the Duckang Kong, as well as the great-grandson of the Shundi Katie. And I went on and I told you about my Dakanuku, my great-great-great-grandfathers, which is the Deshiton. And Deshitons are the one that lifted us up and made us balance. And that's what my presentation will be about this afternoon. And then I told you that I am the son of a Chief Canadian. My father's Eagle Bear. And then I told you in order for you to call him properly, call him Kuyates. Kuyates, and in order for you to address my father properly, address him as Kuyates. And then we're a matrilineal society, so we follow our mother's lineage. Wherever my mother's from, I'm from. I was born in Juneau, Alaska, and only one out of 13 children that was born in a hospital. That's why I'm like this. And then I told you that I thank my mother for giving me a breath of life. And then I told you that her cricket name is C. Crane. We follow our mother's lineage. Although I was born in Juneau, Alaska, and raised in Hood, Alaska all my life, my mother being from Angoon, I'm still considered to be from Angoon, because we always follow our mother's lineage. And then I told you that my cricket name is Yanoe. I hold 3 cricket names. That's my first name given to me at birth. My second cricket name was given to me just recently, about 10 years ago, by my uncle. My uncle saw me how I was carrying myself and how I addressed everybody. And so, to uplift him, he gave me his name, Taha Ishi. And then, whenever I speak, I always remember that I'm speaking for him also. And Kunish Tish. Now, I will have a display table over here. Well, after the Rangers program, I'll come back up after I have to have breakfast. So, we played Pirate this morning, so don't be afraid to come around, and then we'll have a children's program at 11 o'clock, and then my program's at 1 o'clock. Thank you for lending me your ear this morning, you honorable people. Thank you. Good morning.
You probably noticed that the ship has started to move forward. We've brought the tender back on board after they've dropped off the person over at Bartlett Cove for the medevac. So we are underway. The first spot to keep an eye out for, I know we're in a little bit of a fog bank right here, and you're probably saying, oh my goodness, is it going to be like this the rest of the way? Generally, Glacier Bay, as you work your way north towards the glaciers that help form this place, exerts a bit of a high pressure system. I never promised that we'll get all the way up there and see those, but in 5 years I've never had an experience where I haven't seen the glacier. So it's a little bit of a reassurance in terms of the fog bank here. Around 8 o'clock, the captain had planned to make a close pass of a place called South Marble Island. It is one of the first wildlife hotspots that we may encounter. Place where stellar sea lions haul out on the rock there. These huge, sometimes people refer to them as brown bears of the sea. These animals that can weigh anywhere from 800 pounds to a female to 1,500 pounds to a male. They climb out and rest on some of the rocks there. We should be able to get a good view of them from the starboard side as we work our way north. It's also an area where some of the abundant bird life here in Glacier Bay nests earlier in the season. Many of those birds are still around, feeding on the abundant fish resources. Things like tufted puffins, pelagic cormorants, common murres, different bird life out there. So we'll be spotting with our binoculars and keeping an eye out for those. Then as we work our way further north, the captain identified roughly around 9 o'clock, there's a place called Gloomy Knob. It's a place to keep an eye out for mountain goats that are taking advantage of some glacially carved cliffs out there. And then some of the first glaciers we would be encountering around like 10:15, Lamplugh Glacier. We'll do a close pass of that. followed by a vista of Johns Hopkins Inlet and Johns Hopkins Glacier. But then the real highlight of the day, one thing you really don't want to miss, is like 12:30 Marjorie Glacier. This is a full-on tidewater glacier. In Alaska, the estimate is there's over 100,000 glaciers. However, the vast majority of those glaciers are tiny little mountain alpine glaciers, just a few acres of ice that cling to a mountaintop. The next category of glacier would be a valley glacier. It's one that forms, it flows down a valley a little ways, and it melts into a meltwater river that runs into the sea. The last and the rarest category of glacier, tidewater glaciers. We estimate there's only 50 of those glaciers left in Alaska. These are glaciers that start in the mountains, flow down the valleys, come all the way down to the ocean, and then occasionally calve or break off large chunks into the sea. Marjorie Glacier is one of those glaciers, and it's one of those glaciers that we'll spend about an hour with to try to maximize our chance of catching one of those calving events, getting as close as possible, really experiencing a truly rare sight in today's world. After the glaciers, we start to turn and retrace our route, working our way south. During that time, we offer some ranger programs at, check the timing here. 2, thank you very much. 2 o'clock, Ranger JT is going to offer a program in the Vista Lounge, a half-hour ranger program down there. Don't miss that. Ranger JT is an awesome storyteller. And then immediately following it, it's actually a double feature. So immediately following Ranger JT's program, Gary is going to provide a cultural program about this place as a homeland for the Hunna-Klingit in that area. You know, we're all coming here to get the riches here. One of the greatest prizes any European outsider could achieve would have been discovering a Northwest Passage, a way to connect the Pacific to the Atlantic. So, British King George III sends out one of his best navigators, George Vancouver. In the 1790s, he's sailing through all the little channels, all the little nooks and crannies that you all have explored on your journey in Southeast Alaska here, looking for the Northwest Passage. He's also mapping. He's an excellent map maker. He's got great cartographers on board. He visits this place, maps the face of the glacier in 1794, and names it Glacier Bay. At that time, though, a wall of ice, as far as the eye could see by his description, covered the mouth of the bay. At that time, what is now a 65-mile-long bay was only a little 5-mile inlet, stopped by a wall of ice. So over the course of 250 years, the change that has occurred here, that giant glacier that filled this entire bay, has retreated back to the pieces of glacier that we have left today. Some of those tributaries that help contribute to form that giant glacier that filled this entire bay.